Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by Caesar Sportsbook and Casino. Fun slate of games coming up at 4 p.m. We got the Falcons at the Rams. Hopefully a big bounce-back game for the Rams offense. Maybe a little bit of production from Kyle Pitts as well. That'd be fun. Seahawks at 49ers. How will Trey Lance do in his second start? How will Geno Smith do as well? Got the Texans and the Broncos. Should be a fun one there in Denver. And the Cardinals at the Raiders. Hopefully a lot of offense there. But the highlight game for us here on CBS is going to be the Bengals at the Cowboys. You know the big story there. Bengals coming off a tough loss. Cowboys trying to figure out what to do without Dak Prescott. And to make sense of all of that for us, it's our buddy Tom Spencer, CBS Sports editorial consultant. He was in the booth with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo in Dallas. So, Tom, let's start with the big storyline there. How are the Cowboys going to manage without Dak Prescott, who's out for at least a month with that thumb injury?
Well, Jamie, we've been here for 3 days, and if I was doing the NFL reporter move here, I'd pull up all the headlines for the Dallas Morning News and show you the doom and gloom. As you can well imagine, every headline in the sports page is about, what do they do without Dak? What's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb? When's Michael Gallup going to step up? Jerry Jones obviously has a very optimistic viewpoint on Dak's thumb, speculating that maybe within 4 weeks he could be back. But then you talk to the coaching staff and the team, and they're a little bit more reserved. They want to, first of all, see the stitches come out and the swelling go down, and then we'll have a realistic evaluation. So in the interim, Prescott not on IR, very involved mentally in the game plan this week, working with Cooper Rush. They have full confidence in Cooper Rush. Many will remember the game on Halloween night last year, Sunday Night Football, 325 yards for Rush. Game-winning touchdown drive and a pass to Amari Cooper to win the game. Cowboys have full confidence. He's been with this team for over 5 years, knows the system well, has good arm talent, knows the offense, and I think they feel like they can run their full allotment of plays today and make this a very competitive ball game.
You mentioned CeeDee Lamb there, Tom, and obviously a lot's been made about his struggles in last week's performance. Only 2 catches despite getting 11 targets. Is he going to bounce back and play better, and just, the rapport that he has with Cooper Rush? I think the big question is, can he handle really being the number 1 guy? Because clearly last year he was the number 2, or at least 1A, with Amari Cooper on the field.
Yeah, interesting. He had a poor opening day last year with only 2 receptions. Same this year. Different situation, of course, with Cooper still around, Cedric Wilson, etc. But I think the answer is yes. Now, he rebounded last year and totaled 120 catches. The bad news, if you're a CeeDee Lamb follower, is he has not had a touchdown, Jamie, in 9 consecutive games.
Wow.
That has to change, clearly. The good news, if you're a CeeDee Lamb follower, is that his last 100-yard game was with Cooper Rush at Minnesota last year. So it's been a while. We did the game at New England last year where CeeDee Lamb was the best player on the field. And McCarthy was talking about yesterday, and Mike's approach is, I want to see if this guy, handles the scrutiny of Dallas, and if he changes his demeanor, his outlook, if he's getting down on himself. And the answer flatly yesterday to us was no. He's ready to go. They want to feed CeeDee Lamb the football. They know he's their best receiver. Even if Gallup comes back next week or in the short near term, he's going to obviously be the number 2. They're going to figure out ways to move CeeDee Lamb around today against a very difficult defense. Let's face it, Cincinnati is not going to make this easy on Dallas, but that is certainly a goal to get him more involved and make it a different statistical look than 11 targets and only 2 receptions from week 1.
A definite way to help your inexperienced quarterback is for the number 1 receiver to make some plays. So hopefully CeeDee Lamb does that. I know fantasy managers will certainly be happy about that as well. The game plan, as you alluded to, run the ball a little bit more is, just from what you're hearing and the conversation you're having with the coaching staff and the people there in Dallas, they obviously still feel confident that Ezekiel Elliott is the same guy. Are we going to see that at some point, though? Because we've had all of last year where he struggled through the knee injury and then not exactly the best week 1. Very tough matchup, though, against Tampa Bay. How do you think things will go this week, and what's Tony Pollard's role as well as the number 2 guy?
And that's the dilemma everyone wants to understand. How does Dallas use Pollard and Zeke, individually or at the same time? There'll be formations today where they'll both be on the field at the same time, and that can cause a lot of problems. Interesting, Jamie, we're talking to Dan Quinn yesterday, the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Of course, that's an outstanding unit, probably the best unit on this football team right now. And he was giving us a sort of a self-evaluation of his own offense. And he kind of said Tony Pollard is consistently just a pain in the butt. So Pollard, the dilemma there is if you split him out as a receiver and you get him in the receiving game a lot, then does that limit his effectiveness as a runner? So, they're still trying to find that balance, but I'll be very interested today Clearly Dallas's offensive line is in flux, especially on the left side. But on the right side, you've got Zach Martin, who's a perennial Pro Bowler, and to his right, Terrence Steele, who is an outstanding run blocker. So if you're Dallas, that's where Zeke loves to run, over his right side. And, last week, even though they were very poor on first down execution, they had 11 runs of 5 yards or more. This staff is very optimistic that they can run the football, not only today, but throughout the year, and they want to do so. So I actually think that going down throughout this season, assuming Elliott and Pollard stay healthy, that Dallas will make running the ball, even if Dak comes back, a bigger priority than it's been in the past. And at the same time, taking their shots downfield, not only with CeeDee Lamb, but they have a lot of unproven young wide receivers. The one thing they all have in common is speed. And when you have a tight end like Dallas Schultz, who can also stretch the field, I think Dallas can use play action passing to be very effective today, to make big plays and beyond. So we'll see how this offense unfolds as the season progresses.
Should be fun to see if they can just move the ball with Cooper Rush. That's, I think, what we're all hoping to find out in this matchup against the Bengals. You mentioned the Bengals defense. Obviously, the Bengals offense is very good. Just give us an update, what you know on T. Higgins coming back from the concussion, obviously the personal situation as well, and then just your thoughts on this Bengals passing game, knowing that Joe Burrow did not have the best debut with the 5 turnovers last week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and 7 sacks as well. That's a trend that unfortunately continues to plague the Bengals. Their offensive line, much like Kansas City's last year, totally revamped in the offseason. It'll take some time for that to gel. T. Higgins, we're very optimistic that he's going to play today. As you mentioned, real life, unfortunately, affecting him. His father passed away 2 weeks ago, and the funeral was this week. But they expect T. Higgins on the field. This is a passing game that is evolving a little bit. The Bengals are very confident, as you might imagine, Jamie. They have the 3 best wide receivers in the league as a combination, they feel. Jamar Chase returning to where his first game as a collegian was contested at LSU, right here on this stadium with Joe Burrow as his quarterback. 10 catches last week. We know Chase is dynamic, obviously. Higgins is an incredible weapon. Boyd's had 800 yards in the last 4 seasons. The 2 guys I'm interested in watching, though, today are Joe Mixon, who in the second half last week, when the Bengals turned everything around, had 7 receptions, all on checkdowns. That's a little bit more reserved, conservative approach from Joe Burrow, which he wants to do more of this year. And secondly, Hayden Hurst. Not a name you've heard a lot about. He's been an effective tight end with Baltimore and Atlanta, but he is dynamic. He gives them some options they haven't had in the past. So I would be curious to see if not only today, but later on this year, if Hayden Hurst even plays a bigger role in the offense. So Cincinnati, let's face it, they've got options all over the place, and they're going to be tough to stop for any team. Dallas, good defense, maybe great. It should be a good battle between those 2 units today.
I like that call on Hayden Hurst and probably getting some additional targets in practice without T. Higgins being out there. So something to keep an eye on in this matchup as well. Tom, great job as always. Look forward to the call on CBS when we get the Bengals and the Cowboys.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.